Larry Montgomery, a senior prolific author and publisher, has written over 100 books, which include various great books all over the place. As a member of the Glory Temple Ministries, under the pastorship of Senior Pastor Apostle Ronnie Deadweiler and Executive Pastor Apostle Karen Deadweiler, who is in obedience to the Father, planted the seed of scribe on Minister Montgomery's heart. To that end, Minister Montgomery committed to penning 12 of the Lord parables under the cover of Life and Times of the fictional character named the U.S. Marshal Henry Bailey. He has continued to be obedient and writing down the messages that God plants in his heart and remains committed to spread his literary works around the globe. Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the International Grapevine. This is your host, Wallingford Lee. Tonight on International Grapevine, we're going to put the spotlight and a great friend. Recently, we met him through Phil at the Chamber of Commerce. We're talking about Mr. Larry Montgomery, who happened to be a prolific writer and also a minister. He's a man of all seasons. This is a gentleman that started a newspaper out in Long Island. Otherwise, he started a newspaper in Long Island. He has written over 100 books of all kinds. And on top of that, he's a minister. So I would consider him a man of all seasons and give us a great deal of satisfaction and happiness to have him on our program, since we're going to have the spotlight on Mr. Montgomery. Welcome to our show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Well, it's good to have you. Well, one of the things that, we heard none but good things about you. So we wanted to take an opportunity so that our viewing audience in Queens, Brooklyn, and all over will get to know you more. I'm quite sure you're well known. What made you develop the weekly African-American newspaper in Long Island?
Well, I've been in the newspaper business for almost 30 years now. As a second career, I guess you would say, a part-time job might be better, might be clearer. I spent almost 30 years in banking out here on Long Island. And so as we were talking earlier, I'm a little familiar with Chase Manhattan Bank, because I've worked there. But the newspaper, a friend of mine started it, the first newspaper, which was called the Community Journal, back in about 25 years ago, I'm sorry, 25. And when he retired and left me pretty much alone to run the paper, it ran for a few years. But at that point, we were kind of between moving into the electronic age. And so people were more interested in being online. And we felt that we had a good clientele that received or liked to receive the hard copy. And so as the economy turned against us or whatever, we stopped publishing. Recently, the last almost 2 years now, we've been weekly with the Village Press, I'm sorry. And that's actually online. We do have ambitions to expand to include not only radio, internet radio, but also streaming television. And eventually get back to print too, I'm sorry.
That would be excellent. I mean, the newspaper, I think, is extremely important. And, the Long Island has a great fan base out there. So I know something like that will definitely click out there one way or the other, whether it be the radio or the newspaper, because there's a big following out there, no question about it.
Well, we need to be on all four cylinders, the radio, television, internet, and hard copy, because we have different needs. And so we're building to get there.
How long would it take you to get it into a bigger circulation?
Well, we figure we should be pretty much where we want to be in the next 24 months.
Okay.
The circulation should be about 50% of the actual Black community out here. We have about 600,000 people.
Wow. 600,000
and 700,000 people between Nassau and Suffolk County. And so, we can do it. We know we can do it.
So basically, you basically cater mostly to Long Island. And I imagine that it has been very well received by the African community out there, American African community in Long Island.
Well, for those online, we have a decent following. It's not where we'd like it to be, but shows like yours is going to help us to get it out there.
Well, that's our purpose. One hand washes the other. We should be able to help one another, and it's good to get the word out there because we now, otherwise than doing it in the 5 boroughs, we're now on YouTube. This is something that we decided to penetrate. Before, we never do YouTube too much because we were in Westchester, we were in Queens, part of Long Island, and certain part of Jersey. But since I moved back and forth between Florida and New York, we said, let's go into YouTube, which is a bigger audience, and also in Facebook, and it's been happening. So we will, we'll communicate back and forth and get things going in the right direction.
Okay.
One of the questions that really interests me, because I know you have a banking background and you work at Chase for a while, and I know that's interesting because I have a banking background. What made you decide to get into the ministry?
Because I was a banker.
That will do it. That will do it.
You got to somehow manage your soul when you do that kind of work.
That will do it.
I mean, when the Lord has a calling on you, there's nothing you can do but to answer it. And I thank God that I have had a chance to answer it because, it's like anybody else, an adult, parent, whatever. They call you. And then after a while, you don't answer. They get tired of calling you, But thank God for God. He don't get tired. He made up his mind to do something. He does it.
Well, it helps also that you're a family man and one that has worked very hard in the community in many different ways, and you're well known. So once you get that call, and I'm quite sure you had that movement in your heart and also in your head, because taking up the ministry is a very serious step, obviously. And if you have made that commitment, that says something about you as a person, and also where you want to go and what you want to do going forward. So that's a big one. And it's a very responsible thing to do. It's very good.
It's a life-changing experience, and it takes a lifetime to accomplish it, put it that way.
What are the biggest challenges as a minister to you? Because, I mean, you meet people from all walk of life. You meet people that are a necessity. You meet people who are well off. But as that type of calling, imagine that you end up helping a lot of people and stuff like that. So it's a big challenge, I'm sure.
The biggest challenge is people. Yes. You can't put it past people to not do or to do something. People just pretty much drive this world to wherever they're going to drive it to. The capacity for people to do things is mind-boggling. We sit and we can talk about Christianity all day long, and then we walk off and do what people do, and that's part of life. But when you commit yourself, you have to change yourself. God will work with you. He'll work over you. But it's still back in your hand, in your court, to do what you have to do and to try to stay faithful. And I'm trying as hard as I can every day.
Well, I don't think you're only trying. You are. Once you're into the ministry, you hear so many different stories, the good, the bad, the ugly, and your heart tend to open up because you have to be a great listener also. And otherwise, in listening, impart a certain amount of knowledge and help to them, especially to the community, because you're dealing with people from all walk of life. And sometimes it can be difficult, because I'm quite sure not only in the church, you get calls, things that happen, people passed away, people that need counseling. So, it like I said, it's a big challenge and it's a huge commitment. So you walk that walk, and that's a tough one and a good one. A lot of kudos to you for selecting that, and I mean that seriously, because it's tough out there, especially with this coronavirus and stuff like that. So a lot of things happen and stuff like that. Never had no doubt when you decided to commit to it, though.
You doubt every day. I mean, that's being human, because it is hard. If it was easy, then everybody could do it. He's opened the door for all of us to do it. He wants us all to do it. But, sometimes it's harder than what we might think. There are good days, there are bad days. But, it's life. And I think that in the end, it's going to be worth it, because this journey, there's a reason for this journey. for each of us. The things that we do has already been planned out, but we do have good free will. We do have free will, so we have an opportunity to change some things. But I'm not here to preach. I want to talk about my book. I have a copy of it here.
Why do we bow down? Okay, let's get into the book a little bit, because I want to talk about your writing, but I want to get into the book because it draw my interest. What was your motivational purpose for writing that book?
This particular book, it was a question in my mind. Matthew 2. And let me just quickly read the point of it for me.
Sure.
Verse 11, and this is from the King James Version. And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary, his mother, and fell down and worshiped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh. And for some reason, a couple of those words just kind of stuck with me at one point. They bowed down. And when their treasure was revealed, I'm like, well, I thought the treasure that they had was in their hands that they brought and put in front of the baby Jesus. But if you read it and you think about it, that may not be all to it. And so I started looking. And in looking into it, I guess you would say the revelation that there was a lot more to that than just what the words were on the page. When we talk about the treasure that God has put in us, they're standing there with gold, silver, and myrrh, and frankincense. And these were commodities that were of value at that time, and they still are now in some places. The question is that how valuable could they have been to the baby Jesus?
Good question.
I mean, on the one hand, a baby. On the other hand, this is God in man. What could you possibly bring to him that would have any value to him?
And being a baby.
Yeah. So, the parents are one thing, but the baby, and this is, who's at this moment who we're focused on. So you think about it. What treasures could God have put in you or given you to present to the baby, to Jesus? And as you read and you search, because not everything is right there in the Bible. Sometimes you have to get understanding by, doing a little homework. Okay. And I found that the treasure that most likely, and I don't want to tell you what's in the book, but I'm going to tell you this. Whatever treasure it is in you is something that God put in you that's of value to him. You see what I'm saying? It's not a treasure if it's not of value to you. So what he put in you is of value. Now, what did he put in you? And you sit and you ponder that for a moment. What is God? Who is God? God is love. So he put love in you. And every one of us has some of that love. And we nurture it and we work with it and so on and so forth. And when we come to him and we bow down, he can see the love that he's placed in us and how well we've taken care of it.
And the honesty that we have also.
See? And so that would be of value to the baby Jesus. When you bow down to let him know that, there is God, there is love in my heart for you and all that you've done for me. And I'm not going to go any further, but you get my point. Right?
I got the picture. I got the picture clearly. Obviously, these are factual, important things that sometimes we take for granted, unfortunately, and that we need to have a little bit more understanding about God, the Bible, ourselves, an actual commitment to what is right. So all of these things plays a picture on the comments that you just made, and it's extremely important. We'll be right back on International Grapevine as we continue talking about this great book, Why Do We Bow Down? with Minister Mr. Larry Montgomery Sr. We'll be right back on the Grapevine.
You're watching an episode of the International Grapevine. This is your host, Wallingford Lee, a weekly program that deals with everyday issues that impact our lifestyle, such as the economy, real estate, education, and employment, just to name a few. Welcome to our weekly program. That's on YouTube and also Facebook, the International Grapevine.
And we're back here on the International Grapevine with our special guest. The spotlight is on Mr. Larry Montgomery Sr., who happened to be a minister out in Long Island, New York, and he has been kind enough to come on our program to talk about his writing experience, and more importantly, this new book that he just put out by the name Why Do We Bow Down? We don't have words to thank him for being here. The book has taken off, and that's a good sign. It has a lot of interesting things, and we feel privileged and lucky to have the opportunity to work with him. And, you know, he's given us that amount of faith in his book and stuff like that. How long did it take you to put that book together?
Oh, a long time, long. About 6 weeks, I guess.
6 weeks?
About 6 weeks, on and off. Yeah, but it's a labor of love when it's something that you're interested in.
Sure.
Sometimes you take on projects at the house or whatever that, well, I got to get this done. So you work at it, and it's a job. But then when you take on a project that you're very interested in seeing the outcome, it's not work. You just become engrossed in it. And I became engrossed in this effort here. Now, I've written a number of other, I call them study guides, because I don't want to put myself in a place of I'm telling you something, teaching you something. All I'm doing is just pointing the way. I went this way, and this is where I stepped. You may want to step differently, that's fine. But at least you can hear from me what my experience was.
I welcome your experience, because the bit that you explained to me, I found it very interesting. And, and it's in my mind, and I will look into it a little bit further, because I got a good aspect of the book. It's one question that has me going in about the book. What is the spiritual treasure?
What is the what? I'm sorry?
The spiritual treasure.
The spiritual treasure.
Mm-hmm.
Aha.
That one got me. I was stuck there for a while, and I went through it twice. And I said, that's the first thing I want to hit you with.
Well, you hit me with a good one, because I tried to review it before we got started, and I missed that one. But I have it right in front of me.
Okay.
Spiritual treasure. One of the triggers that came to me when you asked me about what got me to do this,
right,
was it was a song sung by Bishop Paul Morton. Looks like I've either left, or am I still there?
No, you're still here.
Something else on my screen for some reason.
And I can see you, and I can hear you.
Okay. Well, Bishop Paul Morton had sung a song about, and the name will come to me, but as I'm flipping through here to see the answer to your question.
I guess my question was pretty interesting then.
Was interesting, you said?
Yes. Yes.
Well, we have our natural treasure.
Sure.
If I was to ask you the question, what is your natural treasure? What would be a treasure to you?
My treasure would be my children.
Your children.
My family.
Okay.
My children and my family.
Okay. So in the natural realm, there are all kinds of things that can be considered a treasure, because it's what's important to you.
Sure.
The spiritual realm, which is kind of like, I guess, the placenta around the natural. The natural is within the placenta, and then the spiritual is all around us. We just kind of seem to be like in a little cocoon, if you will, as we go through life. And we fight a battle to stay alive in the natural realm. And the battle is what? Between good and evil. right? You still there?
Yes, I'm still there, and
I'm
I agree with
I
that.
can't see anything. I'm just looking at the Zoom screen here. So it's a little
We can see you though. I'm
okay.
surprised that you can't see us. We can see you.
Okay.
Well, it's around. I like the expiration because one of the things that I always wrestle with is versus the good spirit and the bad spirit. That's something that I wrestled with for a while because I read a little bit of that. And I stopped because I needed a better understanding of it. So when you're explaining this to me, you really have my attention.
Okay. So we were talking about the natural realm and the spirit realm, right. And us here in the natural realm, we just can't break the placenta. We can't go back and forth unless we are, I guess you would say, spirit led. Things are revealed to us. Spiritually, sometimes you get up in the morning, you're just like, oh, I think, or now I understand, or whatever it may be. It wasn't because someone spoke to you. Okay. It was because it was revealed to you. And in the book, we're pointing to what is spiritual treasure. And spiritual treasure, let me give you the list because it's in there. Eternal life.
Wow. Okay.
Righteousness, honor, godly character. And if you have the spiritual treasure, you find yourself growing fruit. You're like a tree.
Okay.
And the fruit of that spiritual treasure is love, joy, peace, long suffering, which is patience, kindness, there's 7 fruits, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, which is meekness, and then self-control. And if we find that we focus on things like that, we're in a better position in life. I mean, some of the things won't bother us as much as they do bother us, but God is there and he's knowing that, he has an influence on us in our lives, and we are trying to do the things that he would have us to do. I mean, I don't want to break away from the point, but we have to go back for a moment and think about what Jesus Christ went through for us. A man who hadn't done anything, just because people didn't like him or didn't like the things that he was doing. I mean, helping people is always a problem, They tortured him. I mean, when I heard this,
in a very terrible manner, they did.
Yeah, and it's like, why would you do that to someone anyway? I mean, you could shoot him and get it over with, whatever. But you have to beat him with this cat o' nine tails or whatever, and in the street, make him carry this cross, things like that there. And so if he, as Christ, could take all of that, then of course, some of the stuff that I'm going through or that you go through, when you really think about it, you might say, it could be worse. It could be worse. But if I believe that God is putting me through that for a reason, then I know that I'm going to get out on the other side and I'll be better off than I was when I went through it. Right?
That's why faith is important. You must have faith in the Lord at all time. No matter how tough it gets, you have to keep that faith and know there'll be a tomorrow or a better day.
Yes. Because this is only temporary. Could be 100 years, could be 50 years, could be 1 week. You never know. You never know when the end is coming. But I think that all of us, somewhere in the back of our head, says, there's got to be more to this than what I'm going through. There's more than this. I'm not an ant or a mouse or something like that there. I'm a human being. I can think, I can move, I can love, I can feel pain. There's got to be more to this than just...
There is more to it.
Yes.
Here's another part of the book that drew my attention where it says, the spiritual meaning of bowing and kneeling before God, symbols and worship.
It's like the salute that the soldiers give to their leaders, to their commanders and stuff. You know, where a soldier will salute with his hand, we bow down to God to show him reverence, to show him that we know who he is.
Reverence and respect.
And respect, you know. And we appreciate it, because if this is the creator, I mean, that's a concept within itself that we have to wrestle with and get a good handle on, because man is just that arrogant.
No, we tend to be, and we see that every day, even in today's environment with everything that's going on with our leader and all the other stuff that I don't even want to touch that name right now, but some of that goes on. You talk about that took about 6 weeks to write it. You must have been inspired. Did you, at any time while you were writing, did you have to stop, or was it a continuous thing, like you would write all 7 days or all 5 days and rest 2 days? What is your process in a situation like that? Because this book is deep. Make no mistake about it.
No, it's you know, it's a labor of love. You know, you look, you keep looking, you find some information here, and then you have to weed through it to grab the part that seems to work for you, or that helps you understand, and then you go on. And to answer your question, no, it wasn't a continuous effort. It was, I guess, inspired. You know, you get up one morning and can write 10 pages, maybe 3 pages, okay, and then you're tired, you relax. You know, the next day comes and you're still enthusiastic, but other things come up and you get distracted or whatever. But first chance you get, you're right back at it, and you're digging right back into it to find more. Yeah, there comes a point where you say, okay, we've accomplished all that we need to accomplish here. We've said all we could possibly say, because I'm not trying to be an authority on something. I'm just talking about my experience and what I've learned.
Not only experience and what you learned, but your message also. Your message is strong. It's in your belief in God and the Spirit and the power. You know, so it's a good message. What would you say was your main purpose of putting together this book?
To help others, you know, get an understanding that there was more in that statement than just what the words on the page said. You know, there's something deeper there. And if you think about it, that it's good. It's like that steak, you know. I've had pablum, I've had oatmeal, but now here's a steak. Hey, let me see what that tastes like. You know?
It's interesting. Obviously, you must have been very motivated, because putting together a book like this is not easy. And I guess being part of the ministry helps also, because you have a general idea when you start where you want to go. And obviously, you're motivated by our Savior, Jesus Christ, and our Lord, because this is a very interesting book, a powerful book, or the little bit that I have read, and I'm going to finish it. Because if my father was alive, God bless the dead, and I had this book, I would have had to finish it, because he was a very believing man, and he wasn't about joke when we talk about things like this. So your purpose is understandable. So is this out already in Amazon, or it's not out at all?
It's on Amazon,
Okay.
and I have it also on my website, the Author's Corner .online.
Okay. Have the church members have that opportunity to read some of it? Have you brought it up in any one of the Sundays sessions at all?
You know, I kind of like, you know, let people do what makes them comfortable. You know, you don't want to pressure people to do things that, you know, they may not be comfortable with. I mean, you know, how do you, you know, if you have a different opinion about something, you're probably going to want to express it. And, you know, it would make, I think it would make some people uncomfortable. So just, hey, it's out there. Hey, if you decide you want to look at it, great. I appreciate it, whatever your thoughts may be.
As we talk about not only the book and stuff and writing, when you're doing a book like this, have you ever in a moment come up into writer's block, where you block out for a moment, or you have like a tunnel of focus, this is what I'm doing. I don't want to see anything else, or do you get writer's blocks for a few minutes?
Well, it may not be a few minutes. It may last a lot longer than that. But yeah, that happens, and you just, have to, I try to just relax or walk away and
Well, you took the words out of my mouth. If there's a block, I would imagine that you would get up sometime and probably go to the fridge, get a glass of milk or a bottle of water to kind of come back and come right back. At least
Yeah.
when I'm writing, as a banker, there's something writing up a credit and the phone and the this and the that. And I just get up and I walk when I come back, I have a clearer mind. So I imagine writing something that is deep like this, you will get that. Then you have to kind of pull yourself together, so to speak, at times.
Oh yeah, well, you become engrossed in it, and it's just, I can't wait to see what the end is going to be like. I'm learning as I'm going here, which is always a good thing. You want to learn something every day if you can. You don't want to waste time just kind of vegetating around. Although you do need to take a break. You do need to give yourself an opportunity to relax and to enjoy some of the fruits of your labor.
Well, it's important because it is the fruit of your labor. Putting it together, it's not an easy thing. And obviously, not only not an easy thing, it's a large commitment because you put in your body, mind, and soul to something like that. What type of receivement has the book has out there in Amazon and places like that, in the stores?
Well, the feedback you get is on a quarterly basis. They really don't tell you much until at the end of the quarter. And so for the time it's been out there, I'm still kind of waiting for it to really start to have that impact because it builds over the time.
When did you put it out exactly?
Earlier this year.
Earlier this year. Okay. I think when I look at Amazon and I saw it was flowing a lot, but there wasn't a number for me to follow, and I don't have that type of background and experience. Well, unfortunately, we have kind of run out of time, but there's one thing that I need from you.
Okay.
I'd like to hold you back to a promise to come back on the Grapevine. This is not finished. The fact that we run out of time, I honestly mean it. I would love to have you back because I want to go a little bit deeper more in the book.
Okay.
I think I've learned a lot what I've read, and the interchange that we have had here in this short half an hour. I don't have words to thank you.
Well, thank you.
I'm serious. It has made an impression on me, and to me, that's important. It takes a lot to get me on something that draw my attention, and this has.
Okay. Well, God bless you.
No, thank you, my brother.
Thank you.
Again, this is Wallingford Lee saying good night for the International Grapevine, and we hope that you have enjoyed this program with my special guest, Mr. Larry Montgomery Sr., who has talked a little bit about his book, Why Do We Bow Down? And more importantly, all the deeds that this book bring to you. And again, thank you so much for watching our show. And we hope to see you next week at the same time, at the same place. Good night.